This week on his radio show, Howard Stern defended wokeism, saying it's a compliment when someone calls him woke. Listen.
If woke means I can't get behind Trump, which is what I think it means, or that I support people who want to be transgender, or I'm for the vaccine, dude, call me woke as you want. I'm not for stupidity, but I am woke, motherfucker, and I love it.
Oh dear, he swore. He swore that'll win over the woke. He's a regular Huey Newton of the Hamptons.
Well, I watch, I know some of them, and like Howard, I was on Howard Stern's show as much as anybody, and
yeah.
he was great at that time, and then he went woke.
Yeah.
And since he's gone woke, his ratings...
Howard Stern didn't just sell out. He auctioned off his entire legacy at a discount. Greg Gutfeld and Donald Trump didn't miss the sale. They showed up armed with receipts and enough fireworks to light up Stern's downfall. Once the king of shock and controversy, Stern is now the bland butler of safe takes, begging to be mocked. Gutfeld slices him up with savage wit, Trump bulldozes with glee, and together they turn Stern's sad slide into a brutal comedy special.
Well, it is weird because he criticizes Trump for dividing the country, and then he says he hates his supporters. So he's not learning from his own analysis. I think he might have turned into the thing he hated. He needs to go back and watch the movie Private Parts and focus on how he portrayed Don Imus, because he's kind of turned into Don Imus in a way. It's a mix of ego and resentment.
Howard Stern, he's a weak guy. He's weak. He's going, what about, it was so ridiculous. Even she was embarrassed. It was like softball.
Howard Stern, the self-crowned king of all media, is now the king of all meltdowns. It's surreal to watch a guy who built his empire by lobbing verbal Molotov cocktails at the establishment morph into a gated community gossip ant, clutching his pearls at the mere idea of independent thought. If irony were a currency, Howard would be printing money faster than the Fed in a pandemic. This is the same man who once snarled at conformity. Now he moonwalks into every mainstream narrative like he's desperate for a cameo in a CNN puff piece.
But that's how Stern can call snacking with celebs at a fancy restaurant exhausting. Exhausting. Like he finished the overnight shift in a coal mine, or hearing Kat talk about her pets.
Fair.
But I get it, life is tough, especially when you've been cut off from the world for 2 years in a $20 million beach house. I mean, you have no idea how tiring it is walking all the way from the wine cellar to the tennis court and back.
Greg Gutfeld didn't even need a full monologue to dismantle today's version of Howard Stern. Just a mirror. That's all it takes. Howard staring at what he used to be versus the sanitized shell he is now. It's not a transformation. It's a full system reboot, running on fear, hypocrisy, and industrial strength hand sanitizer. And then there's Trump. No subtle jabs, just the verbal sledgehammer duct tape to a bald eagle. Watching Trump talk about Stern now is like a rock star mocking the wedding DJ. He's not even mad, he's just baffled.
The opposite of woke to me is asleep, and I think I'm awake. This must have gotten Trump all charged up, because at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, technically Sunday morning, he starts tweeting out, Howard Stern is a broken loser, jerk off, not loyal, the usual, tirade. And I thought to myself, I'll tell you my thought on it was, what?
Howard Stern went from the guy who pushed everyone's buttons to the guy who asks permission before pressing the microwave one. Remember when he was so edgy he made late-night hosts sweat and radio stations tiptoe around him? Now he makes Joy Behar look like a stand-up comic at a biker rally. He's not edgy anymore. He's sanded down, polished, and shrink-wrapped for your safety.
That Stern hit a chic restaurant in NYC with a crew of A-listers, including Jimmy Kimmel, Jennifer Aniston, Jon Hamm, Justin Theroux, Jason Bateman. I was not invited. I guess because my first name doesn't begin with the letter J.
Greg Gutfeld calls out Stern's downward spiral like a comic roasting a hypocritical Hollywood award speech. This was the rebel, he mocks. The guy who once mocked celebrities for being out of touch now signs autographs on the same yacht decks he used to trash. He used to drag stars by their inflated egos. Now he's their pool boy. Today's Stern lives in fear of cancellation, Like the internet's lurking outside his window armed with pitchforks and hashtags.
Howard, I knew him very well. I was on his show many times. I used to think he was good. Then I dropped him. And I dropped him like a dog. And his ratings are very challenged. Very challenged.
Which, to be fair, is probably true. But the old Howard wouldn't have cared. That guy would have gone on air and dared them to cancel him. This version. He'll pre-apologize for a joke he hasn't even cracked yet. It's not evolution. It's reverse growth. Benjamin Button's PR arc. Meanwhile, Trump laughs at Howard's sad descent the way a lion laughs at a declawed housecat trying to roar. He doesn't even have to lift a finger. Just existing in the same timeline is enough to make Stern short-circuit into another scripted panic attack. Howard's so terrified of offending anyone he wouldn't toast bread without first checking if the gluten-free lobby gave him the green light. Meanwhile, Gutfeld, armed with the smugness of 10 Ivy League professors and the charm of a barstool philosopher, tears into Stern's new persona like it's a sitcom character nobody asked for. He doesn't just call him out for being fake. He nails him for the worst sin in media. Being boring. A liar at least keeps you guessing. Howard's just become a sad rerun of his own worst choices. It's almost pitiful watching the man who once bulldozed boundaries turn into a hall monitor for the woke brigade. He used to flip off the rules. Now he's too scared to jaywalk, busy knitting sweaters for the same rules he once set on fire.
Also, vote for that wall over there.
Well, he's half right. We do need a wall. To keep out gang members, fentanyl dealers, human traffickers, and Anna Navarro. What's funny, though, is that Stern actually thought that was a compliment. Stern has become such a wussified sycophant, he doesn't realize that telling Kamala that he'd vote for a wall is telling her that he knows she's as dumb as one.
Gutfeld, with his trademark smirk, jokes that Howard's microphone should come with a seatbelt and an apology manual. Every broadcast sounds like it's been scrubbed clean by a corporate HR filter. And don't even start on his interviews. Once raw and unpredictable, they're now so sterile you'd think he was chatting with bacteria in a lab. Meanwhile, Trump chimes in from wherever he is, tossing shade without breaking stride. To him, Howard Stern is just another washed-up media relic, clinging to relevance by cozying up to the same crowd he once set ablaze. Trump doesn't even have to insult him directly. Just pointing out Stern's new circle of friends is enough to spark uncontrollable laughter. Because, let's be honest, Howard used to tear into the very types he now clings to for validation. He's gone from roast master to Roach Motel for Hollywood's most recycled opinions. He once bit the hands that fed him. Now he's busy licking boots. And not even premium boots. Just the discount ones from the bargain bin of elite approval.
Kat, I find that his definition of wokeism is very simplistic. I mean, it's like, it's not about COVID jabs.
I didn't get that either. He was like, I love the vaccine. I'm woke.
It's not unlike Howard Stern. I mean, talk about a transition. On Tuesday, he conducted an interview with Kamala Harris that was so simpering and feminine, I got my period while listening to it.
And the irony is, Howard still thinks he's the rebel. He's clinging to this delusion that just saying, I used to be wild, magically keeps his street cred alive, like an old guy in a leather jacket at a retirement home, rattling off war stories nobody asked to hear. Meanwhile, Greg Gutfeld roasts him with surgical precision, scalpel in one hand, punchline in the other. Gutfeld doesn't hold back, and why should he? Stern practically writes his own parody now. The man who once ruled and censored radio now runs every thought through a committee before daring to broadcast it. It's like watching a legendary punk band reunite to play elevator music. Same people, but the soul's long gone. Trump, for his part, just shrugs and laughs. Howard's sad evolution doesn't threaten him. It amuses him. It's like watching someone flail to stay relevant when everything that once made them interesting got left behind a decade ago. Trump could sneeze and spark more controversy than a month's worth of Howard's sanitized monologues. And the ratings? Don't even go there. Stern's numbers used to make network execs drool. Now they're just another stale PowerPoint slide nobody bothers to read. The audience didn't vanish. They just grew up and realized the rebel was faking it. Stern didn't lose them. He ditched them for a better Yelp review from his celebrity buddies.
Even when I watch them on Saturday Night Live with the where they have Maya Rudolph playing you, I hate it. I don't want you being made fun of.
Oh my God.
There's too much at stake. I believe the entire future of this country right now, I mean, as America, land of the free, home of the brave. I think it's literally on the line.
So a guy who's supposed to be funny for a living now claims her candidacy is too important to joke about. This is a guy who once joked right after the Columbine massacre that the killers should have raped the students before killing them. Not that I like that.
Greg Gutfeld brings it home with the kind of comedic napalm that only lands when it's true. He doesn't just mock Stern's fall from grace. He exposes the empty space it left behind. When the loudest voice in media starts whispering, the silence is deafening. Howard used to disrupt. Now he conforms. He used to question everything. Now he double-checks every line in the script. The man who built his empire on unpredictability has become the most predictable figure on the airwaves. You could set your watch by his next panic spiral. And the panic isn't just in his voice. It's all over his choices. He surrounded himself with yes men, echo chambers, and backpats from the same legacy media he once torched. Stern isn't trying to inform or provoke anymore. He's trying to disappear into the crowd. And for someone who once lived to stand out, that's the saddest punchline of all. Trump doesn't even flinch because what's Howard going to do? Lecture him? That's like a balloon scolding a tank. One burst of real talk and Howard drifts off into irrelevance, clutching his vintage ego like a life raft. The old Howard would have torched this entire moment and stood grinning in the flames. The new Howard checks with his producers before daring to have a thought. That's not transformation, that's surrender.
It is incredibly brave to take this stance after you've made $400 million not being woke, right? Loving Donald Trump, exploiting the mentally ill, wearing blackface. Look at the crop of woke comics, whether it's Stern or Jimmy Kimmel, his BFF, Sarah Silverman, Joy Behar, Michael Ian Black. What do they all have in common? They wore blackface. And then they went woke. It's not a chicken or egg thing there. You know what order it came. So I call this BFR. It's blackface reparations. There's nothing in Stern's previous career that could withstand this modern witch hunt that he now embraces.
Every time Howard Stern tries to claw back a shred of relevance, Greg Gutfeld is right there, reminding everyone what Howard used to be, and what he sold out to become. He's the scoreboard to Stern's sad rerun, because once you become the very thing you swore to destroy, the only people left cheering you on are the ones who never knew who you really were. Howard isn't evolving. He's camouflaging and doing a terrible job of it. Even a chameleon changes colors with more conviction. Stern's desperate to land on the right side of history by rewriting his own, but history has receipts, and Gutfeld reads them aloud, page by page, hypocrisy by hypocrisy. And Trump. He's the footnote Howard wishes he could delete, but who just keeps trending. The once fearless rebel has been replaced by an echo chamber with a premium hair conditioner. Stern used to take shots at celebrities. Now he's their designated driver. He used to throw punches, now he throws parties. And Gutfeld lands the cruelest cut of all. Not that Howard is wrong, but that he's boring. For a guy who built an empire on shock and awe, turning into a beige, filtered version of yourself is a betrayal your fans can't unsee.
I really had an exhausting weekend. Emotionally, physically. For the first time in 2 years, I ventured out of the house. Now, maybe he's exaggerating. We all do that. In fact, the more successful you get in media, the more exhausting the easiest things become.
And Donald. He's just watching the implosion like a guy at a demolition derby who bet on the building tipping sideways, and is now watching it crash in glorious slow motion. This isn't some bold reinvention story. It's a surrender, plain and simple. Howard Stern didn't climb to a new level. He sank deep into the couch cushions of celebrity approval, surrounded by throw pillows embroidered with safe, lukewarm opinions. He doesn't make headlines anymore. He reads them out loud, slowly, carefully, terrified that one wrong word will get him uninvited from the next bland industry gala. Meanwhile, Gutfeld's pen is sharper than ever, slicing Stern's new persona to shreds. And Trump. He's doing donuts around Stern's faded reputation, grinning like a kid who just found out recess got extended. Howard's biggest fear now isn't being offensive, it's being irrelevant. And that ship didn't just sail, it took the whole harbor with it. He's the cautionary tale now, the rebel tamed, the microphone warrior who swapped war for wine spritzers and polite photo ops. Gutfeld can't stop laughing, Trump can't stop winning, and Howard, he can't stop apologizing. The self-proclaimed maverick of radio is now just another echo in the canyon of conformity. Once feared, now ignored, once raw, now shrink-wrapped and stacked next to the gluten-free aisle of corporate America.
He swore that'll win over the woke. He's a regular Huey Newton of the Hamptons. Here's my theory. Wokeism is a contagion. Stern got it from Jimmy Kimmel, his new best friend, and Kimmel got it from his wife, and his wife got it from where you get all infections, a toilet seat.
No punchline needed. Howard Stern is the punchline now. And the best part, there's always more to come. Just when you think he's hit peak self-parody, he somehow outdoes himself with another carefully manicured monologue that sounds less like radio and more like a LinkedIn post ghostwritten by a PR intern on oat milk. The man who once torched Hollywood with a flamethrower now practically begs for a seat at their vegan brunch table. His biggest flex these days. Bragging about who he hasn't offended. That's the bar now. Not how edgy he is, but how safely he colors inside the lines. Gutfeld doesn't even need fresh material. He just replays old Howard clips and points at the screen like asterisk, see? That guy had guts. This guy has a Netflix password and chronic anxiety. Asterisk Trump doesn't need a writer's room either. He just drops a one-liner and it hits harder than Howard's entire sanitized broadcast week. The fall isn't funny because it's tragic. It's funny because it's so perfectly documented. Every pivot, every sellout move, every desperate grab for elite approval is there for everyone to see. No mask, no mystery. Just a trail of contradictions in glorious high definition. And while Howard drowns in compliments from people who used to fear him, Gutfeld and Trump keep doing what Howard only pretended to do for decades. Calling out the circus from the outside, not juggling in it.